Do you believe that an inanimate object can actually hunt you down? When the sound of a child's laughter hits your ears in the middle of a desolate, snow-covered New York wasteland, just know that your solitude is nothing but an illusion. I own a small cabin in a rural part of upstate New York. It's surrounded by massive acres of land, dense woods on one side, and miles of nothing but snow on the other. I usually head up there during winter break for some skiing. My neighbors are few and far between. There's an old man living on one side who I've never actually spoken to, and another neighbor way down the road I occasionally run into at the ski lodge. When I pulled up to the house this January, the silence was heavy. The second I stepped out of the car, I heard what sounded like a child wailing coming from my neighbor's direction. It caught me off guard because as far as I knew, there were no kids living out here. I just figured I was tired, so I headed inside, kicked on the heater, and crashed. The next morning, I geared up for skiing and stepped outside. Right there on my lawn, on the pristine white snow, sat a large red ball. It definitely wasn't there yesterday. I figured it belonged to some neighbor's kid, so I just tossed it over the fence and headed to the lodge. But when I got back that night, I froze. That same red ball was sitting in the exact same spot on my lawn. Feeling a bit creeped out, I tossed it back over the fence again and called it a night. But around 2 or 3 a.m., I was bolted awake by the sound of a kid giggling. In this kind of sub-zero weather, a kid playing outside at midnight? It didn't make any sense. If you're hooked on this mystery, hit that subscribe button right now because this story is about to get a lot more twisted. I looked out the window, but there was nobody there. The laughter had stopped. I threw on my slippers and a robe and stepped outside. Sure enough, that same red ball was back in the exact same spot. This time, I didn't toss it back. I grabbed the ball, brought it inside, and shoved it into a corner of my living room. I didn't hear another peep for the rest of the night. The next day, I went to my neighbor's place and knocked. An old man answered. When I asked him about the laughter and the ball, he looked at me like I was crazy. He said, "There are no kids around here, Eric. I live here all by myself." My blood turned to ice. I was exhausted when I got back from skiing that day. I dropped my gear in the living room and headed straight upstairs to bed. I fell into a deep sleep, but then that laughter again. I jumped out of bed and ran to the window. The red ball was sitting out on the lawn again. I sprinted downstairs to the living room. The ball was gone from the corner where I'd left it. Every door and window was locked from the inside. No signs of a break-in. So how did that ball get out of a locked house and back onto the lawn? I flipped on every light in the place and started packing my bags. I wasn't staying another minute. As I took one last look out the second-story window, I saw a small, childlike silhouette standing right behind the red ball in the dark. It wasn't moving. It was just staring straight up at my window. Seeing a kid in thin clothes standing in -20-degree weather, my brain just shut down. I slammed the blinds shut and somehow made it through the night. The second the sun came up, I skipped breakfast, hopped in my car, and hauled ass out of there. That red ball stayed right there on the lawn. I didn't find any signs of a robbery, and nothing was missing, but the way that ball vanished from inside my house and that freezing laughter, it still haunts me to this day. Tonight, as you're sitting in your room, take a quick look around. Is there a toy or an object you don't remember putting there? Be careful. Someone might be playing hide and seek with you, and they're just waiting for you to look out the window. What do you think of this story? Have you ever had a weird experience with an object that seemed to have its own mind? Let me know in the comments. What other New York mysteries or psychological horrors should I dive into next? If you liked this video, share it with your friends. Thanks for sticking around until the very end. I'll see you in the next mystery. Stay subscribed. And hey, is a toy sitting outside your door right now? Go check. Was it yours, or did someone bring it for you from under the snow? Watch out. Some games never truly end.